Am I the antagonist for kicking my step-sister out for stealing my money to buy stuff for her son? I, a 20-year-old woman and married to my husband, also 20 years old. Together, we have 2 female twin children. My stepsister, who is 26 years old, has been involved in their lives since they were born and has been a great help. However, things changed when she got pregnant by her boyfriend, who she later broke up with after co-parenting their newborn son. Despite the breakup, she has been living with us without any issues. Recently, I noticed that money from my bedroom's nightstand has been disappearing. Although I never kept large amounts of money there, I became suspicious, especially after seeing my stepsister buying expensive things for her son. Since she doesn't have a job, I started wondering how she was able to afford those items. While I genuinely want the best for her and her son, I repeatedly asked her to find a job, offering to watch her child as I am a stay-at-home mom. One day, more than just money disappeared. I discovered that my iPad, my mother's necklace, around 200 pounds, and a watch had gone missing. That same week, my stepsister came home with new baby clothes, toys, diapers, and more. She even had new clothes and accessories for herself. I confronted her about my missing items, but she denied taking them. Although I still had some suspicions, I decided to let it go because those items could easily be replaced. However, the situation escalated when I found my room in disarray. Someone had rummaged through my dresser and emptied my nightstand. At that moment, I went straight to my stepsister and asked about my missing belongings. She continued denying it, but I threatened to check the cameras I had set up around the house. Her face turned pale, and I quickly reviewed the footage on my phone. It revealed that she had entered my room and left a few minutes later, carrying many of my missing items. Confronted with the evidence, she screamed at me, justifying her actions by claiming it was her only source of income. She believed that instead of stealing these things, they should be given to her since she had been a tremendous help and needed the money for her son. I demanded that she return all my belongings, threatening to involve the police if necessary. However, she refused, insisting that she needed the money. As a result, I demanded that she gather her son and leave my house. She went to our father's house, along with my stepmother. They have been relentlessly calling me selfish for not helping her financially, arguing that she cannot afford to provide for her son, and since my husband I should assist her. So, am I the one in the wrong in this situation? No, you are not the asshole in this situation. It is completely understandable that you would feel suspicious and concerned about your missing items, especially when it escalated to larger, more valuable items. You took the necessary step of setting up cameras to gather evidence, and when confronted with the truth, you gave her the opportunity to return the stolen items. Her justifications for stealing and refusing to give them back are not valid. It is not your responsibility to financially support her or her child, especially when she is resorting to stealing from you. Your stepsister's actions were wrong, and you were justified in asking her to leave your house. Am I the antagonist for not agreeing to my mom's husband adopting me so my brother will agree? My brother, 13 years old, and I, 16 years old, lost our dad 10 years ago. Mom got married to Jared 6 years ago, and after about a year, my mom asked us if we would be okay with Jared adopting us and possibly changing our last names to his or adding his as a hyphenated last name. I said no, and my brother followed suit. My mom decided that we should discuss it further in family therapy, and we went for a few months. However, therapy was put on hold when everything closed down due to the pandemic, and we only recently resumed when in-office therapy became an option again. Throughout the stay-at-home order, my mom would frequently ask us about our feelings and if we were more open to the idea of adoption. Recently, my mom decided to try the divide and conquer approach after the therapist mentioned that my brother said no because I did. She attempted to talk to my brother, but he remained firm in his decision as long as I was saying no. Then my mom sat me down and asked why I was opposed to the adoption. She explained that she had practical reasons for wanting it to happen, such as providing protection for us if she were to pass away so we could remain with her husband. I asked if this was because she knew I would want my extended family to fight for custody, and she didn't like them, so she preferred that I be adopted first to prevent that. Initially, she denied it, but then admitted that it was true. She then asked why I was against the adoption. I expressed that I didn't want another legal father and didn't desire the protection that adoption would offer. She also shared my brother's stance of saying no, because I was saying no, and hoped that I would agree in order to persuade him to change his mind. I assured her that wouldn't happen and that nothing she said could alter my decision. She requested that I at least encourage my brother to be adopted, but I declined. Nevertheless, I decided to have a conversation with my brother. He expressed that he didn't want to be adopted if I wasn't, as it would feel strange to him. Unlike me, he doesn't have any memories of our dad, so he doesn't have that attachment like I do. I told him that I wouldn't be angry with him if he agreed to it, but he still hesitated. When Mom and Jared sat me down once again and asked me to reconsider so that Jared could adopt my brother, I stood firm and said no once more. My mom became emotional and angry with me. Jared mentioned that I was old enough to be mature and compromise in this situation. He stated that I might not love him, but surely I didn't hate him enough to prefer ending up in foster care over being in his care if something were to happen to Mom. He also argued that I was putting my brother at risk. So, am I the asshole? You have a valid reason for not wanting to be adopted, and it is your personal preference. You have the right to decide what feels right for you, especially when it comes to a significant change like adopting a new parent. It is not fair for your mother, Jared, or anyone else to pressure you into making a decision that you are not comfortable with. Additionally, it is unfair for your mother and Jared to try and manipulate you into changing your mind by using your brother's desire to be adopted as leverage. Your brother's decision should also be respected, and it is understandable that he would feel weird about being adopted when you are not. Your mother and Jared should understand and respect your decision, as well as your brother's decision. It is important for them to consider your feelings and not try to guilt or coerce you into making a decision that goes against what you want. Am I the antagonist for not going with my sister and my half-siblings to my dad's ex-wife's house for custody time? I am a 15-year-old boy with a sister named Leah, who is 8 years old. 7 years ago, our mom passed away, and 6 years ago, our dad remarried a woman named Angela. Leah refers to Angela as her mom and loves her as her own, without considering her as a stepmom. Personally, I have never regarded Angela as a mother or a parent figure. At times, I wished for my dad's marriage to break down, although I never anticipated it actually happening. While I knew my dad still loved our mom, it gradually became evident that he didn't truly love Angela and was only with her because he felt the need to move on. My dad and Angela have 2 half-brothers together, aged 4 and 18 months. Just a few months ago, they began divorce proceedings, resulting in Angela moving out. The reason for their separation was primarily due to several instances where my dad mistakenly referred to Angela as Nat, which was my mom's name. This first occurred early in their marriage but worsened over the past year and a half, until Angela realized my dad's lack of love for her. I overheard many arguments between them, and it became clear that she was deeply hurt. Eventually, my dad admitted that he didn't genuinely love Angela, and that he had merely attempted to force himself to do so in order to provide us with another mother figure. After the separation, it was agreed that Leah, our half-brothers, and I would alternate between staying at Angela's and our dad's residences, since Angela was considered to be Leah's mother. Both Angela and Leah wanted me to join them, but I declined. Angela was never significant enough to me for me to desire a continued relationship with her in that capacity. I am fine with occasionally seeing her, but I don't love or miss her, nor do I wish to reside in her household where she is the sole adult parent figure. Leah greatly misses me when she is away from home and questioned why I didn't want to go to mom's house. I explained to her that Angela is not my mom despite being hers. Leah argued that we both have 2 moms, but I clarified that I only have one. This deeply upset her, and she attempted to convince me that I could have 2 moms as well. My dad attempted to persuade me, claiming that it would make the divorce easier for Leah, and even took me to therapy sessions where the therapist agreed that it was not in my best interest to go. Angela was genuinely upset and tried to make her case. She told me she loved me and considered me her firstborn child. Lately, my dad has been annoyed with me because Leah had a difficult time during Christmas when she spent it with Angela. She missed my presence, and apparently everyone was saddened on Christmas Day. I spoke to Leah on the phone, but I celebrated Christmas with my maternal grandparents. My dad insisted that I should have gone to Angela's house and that it would have made the entire divorce situation easier to manage if I had. So, am I the asshole? You are not obligated to have a close relationship with Angela or consider her your parent just because she married your dad. Your feelings and experiences are valid, and it's clear that you have never had that same bond with Angela that Leah has. It's also important to consider your own well-being, and if attending therapy sessions and receiving professional guidance have concluded that it is not in your best interest to go to Angela's house, then you have every right to prioritize your own emotional health. It's unfortunate that Christmas was tough for Leah and your family, but it's unfair for your dad to blame you for that or pressure you to have a relationship with Angela that you're not comfortable with. Each person in your family has their own unique experience and coping mechanisms. Ultimately, it's essential for your dad and Angela to respect your feelings and decisions in this matter. It is not your responsibility to make the divorce transition easier for Leah. That is a responsibility that falls on the adults involved. Am I the antagonist for refusing to give rides to a person who really needs them over a toxic comment? I, 26-year-old female, live in a very small town with my dad, 55-year-old male, who is disabled. He is able to get around on his own, but it's more convenient for us if I run most of the errands. Anyway, my dad has 2 cars. One is manual shift and the other is automatic. Due to his mobility issues, he can't drive the manual car, so it's usually me who drives it. My workplace is 2 hours away from where I live, but it's not a big deal for me. I also have a coworker, 40-year-old female, who relies on me for rides, even though it's only a 20-minute drive from her home to the workplace. I pick her up and drop her off. She doesn't have a car, and public transportation in our area is not great. I don't charge her for the ride since I pass her street on my way either way. She just checks the location app and goes out whenever she sees I'm approaching her place, or sometimes I park in her driveway. Recently, the manual car wasn't starting, so I had to take the automatic car instead. It's a really large SUV, and I'm not very comfortable driving it. I've been driving the manual car since high school, and it's a small coupe, so I'm used to smaller cars. This was my first time driving another car, and the manual car is an import and right-hand drive. So my perception is slightly off when I drive a normal car. When she asked me to go in her driveway, I messed up and accidentally hit the lawn with two of the wheels because I'm used to sitting on the other side, and the automatic car is wider than the manual one. Her driveway is very narrow, and as I mentioned, I'm not familiar with driving large cars, so it was a mistake on my part. She saw the tire tracks on her lawn and was really angry. She yelled at me, saying that if I can't go in the driveway without hitting the lawn, I should have my license revoked. I explained that I couldn't take my car because it broke down. She said that in that case, I should have asked my dad to drive me to work. I got angry because it was an unreasonable demand. First of all, my dad is disabled, and second, he wouldn't be thrilled about spending 4 hours behind the wheel just to take me to work and back. The next day I texted her that I won't be giving her rides anymore. I still drive the automatic car because a part in the manual car broke, and it needs to be delivered from overseas, so it will take some time. I won't deny that maybe it was an overreaction on my part, but I feel hurt by her comment, and I don't want to go in her driveway again, hit the lawn, and get yelled at. I'm not losing anything if I refuse to give her rides, and I feel like she should have been more grateful. Anyway, she was angry and called me a vulgar term. Our other coworker said I'm inconsiderate because the 40-year-old female coworker really needs the rides. Now I'm questioning whether I was really inconsiderate. The 40-year-old female coworker has a strong temper, so she probably didn't mean what she said, but it was still hurtful either way. Was I in the wrong here? You have been doing a kind favor for your coworker by giving her rides to and from work without charging her. It is not your responsibility to ensure that she has transportation, and it is unreasonable for her to demand that you ask your disabled father to drive you. Your reaction to her comment may have been a bit extreme, but it is understandable given her rudeness and lack of gratitude. It is ultimately your choice whether or not you continue to give her rides.